Hey, what's up with it, y'all? It's your boy Rife. I'm back with Storytime with Rife. This is part two of the Cash Money Record story. So if you guys haven't checked out part one, make sure you go back, watch part one, so we can get into part two and kind of know where part two is coming from. So for part two, I go back to New Orleans like a year later, right? So this is like summer '98, right? Or was it summer '97? It may be summer '97. Either way, we go back to New Orleans. I think it was summer '98. So we go back to New Orleans, right? At this time, I've been jamming Cash Money. I already knew, how hot they was. They were killing it down south already. I mean, as soon as I left New Orleans, I knew who these guys were, and they were killing it. You just started hearing them everywhere in the clubs and in everybody's cars and everything. So they were buzzing at the time, but this is right around the time they signed their deal with Universal and got that big check, right? So if you guys don't know, do your research. Right around '98, they signed a big deal, got like 30 million from Universal, right? So I go back to New Orleans, and we on Bourbon Street kicking it or whatever. And next thing I know, it's this huge crowd in front of this like hotel on Bourbon Street. Can't remember what the name of the hotel was, but it was Cash Money was throwing a party, right? Like celebrating their success and getting the deal. So I go from seeing these guys just a year earlier on their grind, independent, doing their own shows, getting it how they live. And now I see these dudes, they got that big money, that big check, and they standing on a balcony on Bourbon Street, just tossing out like 20s, $100 bills, dollar bills. I mean, just throwing money out in the crowd, right? And everybody's going crazy. I mean, they jamming all the music. They letting everybody come in and just party with them. Man, it was like something I never seen before. But the coldest thing about it was in the middle of Bourbon Street. Like, so if you've been to New Orleans, you know how busy Bourbon Street can get. And this is like July 4th. This is during Essence and all of that. So man, on Bourbon Street, bro. Now this wasn't July 4th. This was Bayou Classic. That's what it was. So this was like November. So this is Bayou Classic. So man, so it had to be '97 going to '98. Now that I think about it. But long story short, man, on the middle of Bourbon Street in this big old crowd of people, they had parked two big body Bentleys, like literally in the middle of Bourbon Street. Big old Bentleys. Like, this is the first time I've seen a Bentley like in person. Like, you may have seen them on the Rob Report if you read that back in the day, or it really wasn't even in a lot of videos at the time. But they had these two big old, big body photo Bentleys parked in the middle of Bourbon Street, and both of them had the paper tags in the back window. Like, they were stunned so hard, they left the paper tags on the Bentleys and had them parked right in the middle of Bourbon Street, man. I've never seen nothing like that, man. People hanging out on the cars, taking pictures with them, sitting on the cars, dancing on the cars. I mean, that was just having a straight baller party, like right in the middle of Bourbon Street, man. That was the wildest thing I ever seen. I mean, they're all just throwing these hundreds, 20s, you know what I'm saying? Birdman on the back and talking Cash Money, you know what? So it was, man, it was like, it was inspirational, you know what I'm saying, for me, because I watched these guys a year earlier just grinding, independent, staying in their lane, doing what they got to do. And then the next year, they balling out of control, like for real. Oh, they had a Lambo out there too. So it's also a Lambo out there that had the TVs in it, just parked right there, windows down. They didn't care, man. They were just balling, having a good time, man. That was the most amazing thing I ever seen. So fast forward a little bit, we kick it. You know, we hang out with them, not necessarily with them, but at the party. Party was super live, didn't stop, went all night long. But by the time we go back to our hotel, we pull up to our hotel. Next thing we know, another one of the Bentleys pulls into the hotel, and this juvenile, he's staying at the same hotel we staying at. He got the big body Bentley. Next thing you know, here come the big body Benzes. I mean, the dudes were just like on fire, man. But it was like something I never seen before, man. Two brand new Bentleys parked on Bourbon Street, paper tags. They throwing hundreds, throwing 20s. I mean, the boys were like balling out of control. I even tried to book them, man. I was in college at the time, and right before we went down there, I tried to book them to come up to do our homecoming at North Texas. And back in the day, they had the phone numbers and address all on the back of the CD. So I remember I called the number on the CD one time, or inside the CD one time, and Birdman answered the phone, and I said, "Hey man, I'm calling from University of North Texas. We're trying to get y'all booked up here for homecoming. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get the BG. I want to get the big timers. Because really, BG was a big star at the time, to me anyway, back then. And the dude stunning on me like a mug. You know what I'm saying? The dude was like, "Hey, man, I'm in my Hummer right now. You know what I'm saying? But when I stop somewhere, Wardy, I'm going to call you back." I'm like, damn, dude just standing on me, talking about he in his Hummer, and headed to the office, gonna call me back. Well, he never called me back. I called again a couple of times, but could never kind of put the deal together. Not in the amount of time that they needed the deal to be done, and the school wanted the deal to be done by a certain time. Again, they never heard of him, but I was trying to book them dudes from as far back as like '97, man. But yeah, that was a cash money, man. And since then, y'all know what they did. They took off. They did it real big, but I kind of saw it firsthand, at least a little bit, from their independent grind to really blowing up and then really balling in the city, man. So Cash Money Records, man, big inspiration. Shout out to Birdman. Shout out to Slim, all the hot boys. Y'all were a big inspiration for what we do at the Downstream Click, man. So stay tuned. I got more stories coming up.